The chapel was built in 1883. It originally had Quakers, Christian Scientists, Catholics, Protestants, any religion you can think of. It's a union chapel, so anybody could have a service there. Now it's just the Catholics and us Protestants.
Our families were of the stage, so we put on a play every year, once or twice for the benefit of the chapel. And one play that I insist upon my friends doing was called A Day in Fairyland, and I played Queen Nasturtium, because nasturtiums were the most popular, in fact the only thing that grew around here then at all. And one of my best friends, Margaret Gilmore, insisted that I wrote the play so I could cast myself as the queen.
Sunday school classes were held in the chapel during the winter months. Aunt Nellie, and her last name was Morris. She was Phil Morris, the postmaster's wife. But she wasn't really my aunt, but all my parents' friends were called Aunt. She would hold the classes for us at the chapel. The Rogers boys would install petitions at the front of the church and light the wood and coal stove for heat for us. We loved Easter Sunday because we got to wear our Easter best clothes and had a picture taken holding a hyacinth. And to this day, I still love hyacinths. The Sconset Community Club, who held their meetings in the school building, were instrumental in giving all the Sconset children a Christmas party in the chapel. A group of about 24 would attend, and we'd have a piece to recite. There would be treats, Santa passing out a gift to each child. It was always on Christmas Eve. When my brother undressed that evening to go to bed, he left his new white shirt on the living room chair, and when we got up the next morning, there was soot on it where Santa had sat.
It was a haven for clergymen. There were always a dozen clergymen in Sconset in those days. And those days being the late 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. Until 1959 or so, every Sunday there was a different minister taking the services, and there was always somebody who could take the service. But it was sort of a nice feeling when you had a different minister every Sunday, and these were not hacks. These were top flight people who knew how to preach and knew what they were doing, and the chapel was always filled. Then, for some reason or other, and I don't know why, there were far fewer, so we had to talk about getting a permanent summer minister. So in 1959, Jim Wright came, and he was here all summer for 3 years. And then, at the end of that time, I became chairman of the board of the trustees of the chapel, and we needed a new summer minister. Well, a friend of mine was named Stanley Johnson, was the chaplain at the University of Pennsylvania, where I worked at the time. And he came to visit us one summer, the first summer after we met, when we both got our jobs at the same time in 1961 at the university. But I said to Stanley, since he was chaplain at the university, and in those days, maybe today, the chaplain didn't have much to do in the summer, would he like to come up and be the summer minister next year? And he said he would, so he came up in 1963. He retired from that job 2 years ago. So he stayed 42 years.
We built the first columbarium. As you face the chapel, it's on the left-hand side. It's just a low wall. It's about this high. And there are niches in it. And you buy a niche, and your ashes get put in it, and there's a plaque gets put on the top of the slate. That got full. So we built another much bigger, fancier columbarium to the right, or on the other side of that big hedge. And that goes all the way around, and it's going to be expanded some more because that's almost full. And the chapel has got a preservation restriction on it now, which is very exciting. It's taken 7 years to get that through, but it's through, and now nobody can do anything to the chapel.